there. Peace, everyone. It's BlackHighPriestess. Not sure if it's lagging or not. I don't know if y'all can hear me, but I just wanted to kind of talk to you all today really quickly about Osun Ogbadagbadaba. And she is actually an Indian. She is an Indian path of Osun. She is origins are in India, so she is origin. So there's very little mention of her. I came across this path this year, and you know, like I said, she's Indian, so you can say Osun Ogbadagbadaba. You know, she basically, the Pataki of this Osun is ancient India. There were a bunch of women in a cave with children. And the reason that the women were in the cave is because the men were off to war, or you know, there was some warfare situation where the men were off to war and the women were kind of in hiding, you know, and it was almost a dystopian type of situation, maybe as a result of the war or after the war, and you know, the stress of the women. But you know, the women, and there were at least 34 women. I'm being told there was at least 34 women, and all of the children that each of these women had in the cave, young children and babies. So this was clearly a situation where women who had recently given birth or new mothers had fled to the cave, you know, for a place to be without the protection of the men in that community. And what happened was, Osun Ogbadagbadaba didn't have any children, but she had very large breasts. She was actually the only woman there who had no children. Um, and as we know, there are some other more mysterious paths of Osun, for example, Ibu Kole, and the, you know, the mysteries of Ibu Kole living in the cave, and that having to do with, you know, why some paths or aspects of Ibu Kole are depicted with pale skin. Um, and there's that path of her who gained leprosy for incest. And so that's another reason why Osun Ibu Kole, who is known to dwell in the caves, that's why some paths of her can be shown with pale skin, very pale skin, because she path known to be in the caves, or more so the witchcraft aspect of Osun is typically known as the vulture that burned, you know, the unburnt, or the peacock that flew to Olodumare to petition to bring food down to save the starving humans. And she flew so close to Olodumare, the sun, that she became a vulture, meaning she went from peacock, the most beautiful creature that was on earth, to a vulture, considered the most. Stories of Ibu Kole as the vulture relate to Oshun's beauty coming from her lack of vanity, not the vanity that she's known for, but actually the true beauty that is less talked about, but that deeper aspect of Oshun. So I'm saying this to say that Ibu Kole, her and within herself, the path of Oshun, Ibu Kole in herself, has five Ibu Kole, and Ibu Kole is the path known as the vulture, and that deals with number 5 specifically. My point in saying that is Ibu Kole would be the original aspect of Oshun that is known to be the cave dweller, also known as the witch. So here with Ogbadagbadaba, we have another aspect of Oshun that is a cave dweller, so to speak. So in correlations throughout each of her path. Correlations meaning core aspects, the core root of the spirit of the river. So remember, daughters of Oshun who inherit the deeper mysteries of the house of Oshun, of the spirit of the river, of the Orisha and Oma Oshun, Ashe of Oshun. Importance of caves to us as females and how that relates to European witchcraft, and how that relate, and how Europe and cave dwelling and Oshun being cursed with leprosy, this path, how those things correlate to the witchcraft aspect of Oshun. Back to Ogbadagbadaba. So she basically, this is another Oshun in a cave. At least 34 women, young babies there. She's the only one without children, and she has very large breasts. She has very large breasts. And so what happened was all of the women basically all were unable to lactate and feed their children. All of the women, so to speak, lost fertility, but more so lost those hormones that deal with fertility. And the women, out of the stress of the situation, of the wartime, of the men being gone or off to war, lost their lactation. And so Oshun Ogbadagbadaba, with the very large breast, her overnight her breast started to lactate, you know and her breast, she kind of sat like on a stool, so to speak, like a little stump, if you will. Remember, these women are in a cave, in hiding, basically. So, and trying to be in a safe space to rear and the children that they have, these young babies. And so basically she sat on a stump, and she breastfed all of the children, two by two. And all of the babies, after a couple days, so to speak, actually being a wet nurse and feeding all of the little babies. Each woman brought up her babies, her children, to her, one at a time. And eventually a couple of the women had to actually hold Oshun up, because remember, there's just a stump for her, a tree stump, so to speak, for her to sit on as she's doing this. So eventually the women, the mothers, had to hold. She became tired, because even as she was tired and falling asleep, she was still supplying and feeding all of the children. Well, when she was done feeding, wet nursing all of the babies, um what she did after that, the next night, is she had the women, she had all of the mothers breast milk, and drink just a little bit, almost like a potion or a tonic. She had each woman come up and drink some of her breast milk, each of the mothers. And then she took her breast milk and she rubbed it on the breast and the nipples of each of the mothers. So the woman would come drink some of her breast milk, and then she would massage some of her breast milk into the nipples of each mother. And after that, Oshun Ogbadagbadaba, she is native to India. This happened in ancient India. During a wartime, in a cave. This is a very, very secret esoteric pataki that I'm glad to be able to share and embody. And because it has been working for me, and because pray to her enlarge my breast, I wanted to go ahead and share that with some women like me who may be petite, or who, you know, as daughters of Oshun, we're very sensual anyway. So I am kind of talking to daughters of Oshun who may really enjoy your breast area, and especially women who may be flat chested or you just really petite, have smaller breasts, who want larger breasts, who have always wanted larger breasts. First thing I you know want to say is, oh, daughters of Oshun, we appreciate our body, and we have a deep sensual appreciation for who we are in our nature. Um, so appreciate who you are, but understand this mystery of Oshun can enlarge your breasts and give you that pride, that a daughter of Oshun may have through having bigger breasts, or give you that pride that a woman with bigger breasts may have, the way a man with a big penis may have, or give you that sense of pride that mothers have when a woman's breastfeeding a mother, and that proudness of her fertility that mothers can have. So if you you know, if you are in a virgin state, you know, a maiden state, you don't have children, or you know, you're just um you know, you're single, you don't have children, you know, maybe you're more petite as a woman, um and you know, you're just interested in the more voluptuous, you're interested in how you know, how a woman's body develops when she does become a mother, or when she does become older and more mature and past puberty. You know, if you're petite, you're thin, you're younger, you're you know, a virgin, or you don't have children, you're not sexually active, things like that, and but you want to experience that sensuality of a mature woman who is sexually active, who is a wife and a mother, or you know, who is just, you know, more mature sexually, and um you don't have to light candles to her, you don't have to light incense to her, you don't have to offer salt or go to the water for this Oshun. All you have to do for this Oshun to enlarge your breasts is every night, under the moonlight, pray to Osun Ogbadagbadaba, and you can say it. I'm not trying to be funny about the Indian culture. I'm you know, like a Gujarati accent, I suppose, that I'm using, but that is this path of Oshun, and that would be the most authentic way that I literally would tell you to pronounce this path. Ogbadagbadaba. And remember, the Indians are one of the more ancient strains of African blood. They're the original Nagas, the Indians. Um, and I'm talking about Eastern, you know, Oriental Indians, so to speak, of the Orient, of the not the Native Americans who were called Indians, you know, as a slang term, maybe even sometimes a derogatory one. I'm talking about Indians from India. Um, you know, so again, the Orient dealing with the Asian genetic. Remember, the Indians have that Naga genetic, and so you'll see a lot of, you'll recognize a lot of snake energy and snake charming and connection to the serpent in India, that deals with that Naga genetic, that's origin to India. So pray to Oshun Ogbadagbadaba. You can try and research. You may not find anything. One, because remember, Vodun is an oral tradition. So I've been given the rights to share this, and she wants this to be shared. And Eshu opened the gates for this information to be shared with women, with daughters of Oshun. And this is something I'm sharing with women in general. So I don't care what bloodline is. I want women to experience the bounty of this path of Oshun. But is also for daughters of Oshun specifically to know that, you know, if you want to become more in tune with your breast and what fertility means to us through our breast, and the way that Oshun is very connected to her breast, because remember, what do the breasts hold that is very important to Oshun? The heart chakra. So that's another thing. Daughters of Oshun, we already have an affinity for our breasts and for touching ourselves, for appreciating our sensual, actual physical body, and most importantly, appreciating the femininity that we have. And so we have an appreciation for the most feminine parts that are the sex organs. Remember, your breasts are sex organs because the sex organ, it deals with being male or female first. And sex primarily deals with male and female because it deals with your reproductive organs. Gen- but your sex has to do with the organs that you have. So remember, your breasts are somewhat of a sex organ, if you will. Um, so yes, you can pray to Oshun Ogbadagbadaba and just simply pray to her under moonlight. Any moonlight, doesn't have to be a full moon. It would be just because the fullness and the increase. But if you want to start with the first waning of a new moon and then keep praying until the full moon, you should see some results, especially if you do it for 3 months, then you should really see some results. Um, and another thing about breast, remember that breast and enlarging breast is directly related to feeding a child. So a woman's breasts naturally become larger before our, but during the menstrual or pre-menstrual cycle, PMS, is when a woman's breast may become really tender because the body is getting prepared to get pregnant, because it's making that woman horny, and it's preparing for, the expectation of receiving sperm. And that's why a woman goes through hormones each month, because um, a lot of times you know it's a symptom of being designed to get ready for pregnancy, and that depending on the circumstances and the woman's health, and most importantly, depending on whether or not she's on some form of birth control. A woman may experience bad PMS symptoms, or um, maybe have a better, more eased and natural, so to speak, PMS experience. And when I say natural, I'm saying considering that you're in a more natural live, and with the type of masculine men that allow our hormones to operate um in a healthy way, then the PMS symptoms of a woman aren't as harsh. It will be more just like a physical thing, and a mood thing of, I'm horny. A lot of times that PMS comes off as I'm a bitch. Well, you gotta understand, with dieting, there's all these unnatural pressures put on a woman and no release from that. And the male dominated society gives men all of the release from the pressures that are not even put on him as a man in this society. And you know, the a woman's PMS cycle becomes a way for her to purge male domination. And so a lot of times, and I can only speak for America, Chicago, a lot of times a woman's PMS can be a negative thing because you're factoring in all this electronics and Wi-Fi radiation that's affecting the womb and the eggs, factoring in any unhealthy eating, especially sometimes things like dairy, or depending, some dairy, alcohol, certain things can make PMS symptoms and cramps and things a little worse and better, like apple cider vinegar. I talk a lot of my witch's brews that will alleviate the cramps a lot of times that come, and also some of the bumps. We get bumps in fattier places too. and the bumps kind of serve as a hormonal thing, because bumps, pimples, a lot of those things have to do with hormones and stress. So a period bump may show up in a fatty area, which again, fatty areas hold estrogen. That's more the fattier you are, the more estrogen you produce. When fatty, for the safety and rearing of a baby and the gestation needed to feed that baby. So praying to Osun Ogbadagbadaba, that will also help you remember how a woman is designed, and to start as a woman, kind of setting different standards in your life for men and for the other women in your life, as you become more in tune with nature, with human nature, some of us with, you know and with the nature of femininity, and being a womb man, and how the Most High designed the woman emotionally, physically, biologically, become a mother, and bear children, but also how psychologically the woman is designed too. um so that's just to kind of say that, um in America, PMS can be bad, and it can be worsened if you're on a type of birth control that's not actually conducive to your, to you physically. Some birth controls are a little more advanced, and they don't maybe have as much side effects, but all of these unnatural pills have side effects. And a lot of times, birth control, one of the side effects is sometimes a woman can become more argumentative, or her premenstrual cycle or menstrual cycle can be more painful or more unnatural, which, naturally, or you're such a bitch all the time that your partner is not turned on, you know because you're on this birth control pill. And another, mystery that I actually first heard about reading, a book by Tom Robbins called Still Life with Woodpecker, about lunaception. And that's also another natural form of birth, and that deals with aligning your menstrual cycle to the full moon or the new moon, which can happen sometimes too. And that way, knowing when you're going to menstruate, and when the eggs are around the time when the eggs are going to drop. And so being able to calculate the time of the month that's safest for you to have sex and to copulate, because and I'm guessing it's usually just after the eggs drop. So, your period, when your eggs have recently dropped, or during the period, um which you can still get pregnant from. Do your own research, but it could even be exactly like 3 weeks or something before you start bleeding. But there is a particular time where you're, so to speak, least fertile, and dealing with the cycle of the eggs, and when you get horny and things like that. So lunaception is something you can just look into, your natural biology and the way you're designed as a woman, and just think about abstaining from sex until you're married, or until you're in a situation that feels secure enough, like a marriage, that you can trust your partner, there's commitment, there's no diseases, or that there's enough health between the two of you. Or some people do have STDs, and if you do, you both know about it, you both have the same STD, you both are able to have sex in a healthy way between. It's going to be exclusive, it's going to be mutual, and there's going to be some type of commitment. So then you can start practicing some natural forms of birth control that work for both you and your partner, in heterosexual relationships. Because, and again, I was on birth control one time, and it lasted like less than a month. I kept forgetting to take the pills. what, whatever. I it was like once in my early 20s, and there's been no reason to. Sometimes you never know. There could be sometimes a man is infertile, or maybe his drinking habits, his smoking habits, his diet, or even his genetics may cause him to be infertile, and that could very well be reasons that some women don't get pregnant. Some women just don't get pregnant as easily. There's a lot of environmental factors, genetic ones, but start to know your body as a woman, and what you like, what you enjoy, and start to deal with men who don't watch pornography, who don't listen to music that degrades a woman and degrades her sexuality. Set higher standards for the type of men you deal with, and men who are not superficial and who don't look at you as a sex object, but who look at you as a helpmate, the way the Bible described. Starts, also setting standards for the women. Start to appreciate other women, appreciate women who you can admire, who set good examples for femininity, especially for Black femininity, because we know Black women are often promoted as whores, because during slavery our sexuality was not protected, it was exploited. And when I say exploited, I'm not just talking about rape, I'm talking about the level of experimentation that was done on the Black bodies, including the Black female body, that creates some of this medicine and birth control that we now have today. You understand? The exploit the body. Ogbadagbadaba can help Black women who may be single mothers, in a situation where you don't have the protection of your husband or your man, or he, and are in a stressful situation. That can help Black women understand what type of women who are sisters, not women who use their bounty and their singleness, or their whatever, to compete, but who are there to really be a maiden, which is more so than a virgin. The maiden meaning she's taking her virgin status and she's using it to learn about motherhood and learn that wisdom, and learn how to be of assistance, as opposed to the virgin um connotation of the virgin slash maiden um uh path in the sacred trinity of femininity, meaning virgin mother crone is the sacred trinity. So the virgin path is also known as the maiden. The maiden specifically means a maid, a maid to circumstances. The maid could mean a sex maid to the husband, or the king, while the wife, if she agrees to that, is choosing not to have sex because of her motherhood, because of pregnancy, because of the hormonal changes, and she's allowing her husband to have sexual relief through another woman. I would never condone it, I would never promote it, but that is also circumstances a role of the maiden, which also again is why the virgin path does not mean originally abstinence from sex. It means abstinence from pregnancy. So the virgin aspect, the virgin connotation, as opposed to the maiden, is more so about um embodying the skills of a man while you have a youthful um uh unpregnant body, while you're taking your fertility, but you're using it more for sport. I'm a mother, or then you settle down, so to speak, or whatever. But my point is, you know women getting really in touch with their bodies, their femininities, and the fact that we are designed for motherhood, no matter whether we are a virgin, a mother, or a crone. A crone meaning you are older, you're a baroness, meaning you're barren, so you're a baroness, age of child rearing, or getting pregnant, or you're simply, and really just like the virgin, the crone originally would not necessarily refer to a woman who couldn't get pregnant, because if you're a crone, it's also you're an elder woman who understands the mysteries of witchcraft deeper than any other woman, or younger path. Therefore, you could easily understand how to get pregnant later in life, how to look beautiful, even if you have developed. So just like originally virgin didn't mean a woman who abstained from sex, crone did not mean a hag. That was more European, you see. You see. So um my point is Osun Ogbadagbadaba will enlarge your breasts. And if you are a female who's interested in of any race or creed or heritage, you can simply under any moon cycle pray to Osun Ogbadagbadaba. I would suggest saying it with the Indian kind of, Gujarati accent that I'm using. Um, to be honest, sometimes it's best to do your do your due diligence or do what you can do when you're doing spirituality to communicate in the languages and even write in the scripts that are as ancient as your genetics will allow you to. That's why, sometimes writing in runic, for those who are really witches, write in runic, write in, when you write on your candles and things, write that stuff in runic. um you know uh you can start on the first you can do that for 3 months, and then you should see more of a permanent, result, so to speak. But I've seen results. I'm happy with it. And again, like I'm saying, sometimes the results will be visible and noticeable to you, but sometimes the results can actually come as you just being more connected with your breasts and feeling them become heavier or feeling more of a weight. It, and being able to kind of feel that sensitivity and that ability to nourish your community. And so that's what you should be feeling from Ocean Ogbadagbadaba, an endowment to start serving your community, particularly the women and children. So be careful of this, because this Oshun specifically serves the babies and the new mothers. So this women and who are maybe looking for um, some female leadership and female support and some female understanding of women's sexuality, and who are going to be appreciative of a, so to speak, a sex goddess who puts women first. Um, some daughters of Oshun, or some women who embody Oshun's energy, whether you or Ifa or Yoruba or not, but you embody some of her energy, and maybe you found out from some of these new age groups and things about Oshun, but you don't really actually practice under her house, but you understand that you embody her energy through different things, different characteristics, through your vanity, through how you feel, through how you act, through what the things you like. You understand that your sexuality is heightened compared to the average woman. You're using it too much to compete with other women and to attract the attention of men, and you're not honoring Oshun this way. Remember, Oshun is a warrior for women, and Oshun brings joy to women and helps women appreciate their bodies and their sexualities just as much as she brings pleasure to men. But she brings pleasure to men because the first thing she invokes in a woman is jealousy. So if you apply the wisdom that Oshun also has through Yemaya as to how to deal with women, you will understand the nature of a woman who is jealous, or a woman's inclination in a male dominated society to become jealous of another woman's beauty and attractiveness and power, fertility. So Oshun alleviates the stresses of a male-dominated society by empowering the woman through the main way that she does have power over a man, which is sexually, you know. Um, so please use your ashe of Oshun to elevate women first and foremost. And remember, Oshun is an African Orisha and a revolutionary. So if you're dealing with Oshun in any way, you need to be using that to elevate Black women, no matter what. Don't just take Oshun's energy and run with it. It will backfire if you don't honor it by honoring her origins, and the femininity. Okay. Um, if no one has any questions, which I haven't seen any questions so far, if anyone has any questions or comments, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get going. um, it went a little longer. This went a little longer than I wanted to, but I'm kind of excited about really this. So please try it out. If you like what you heard and you learned, um, go ahead, listen, learn, like, and subscribe. Um, Follow me on Instagram. I do more on there. Check out my Etsy shop. I'll be getting some more things together. I have some things for sale that I haven't actually put up on the shop yet, but check me out. Purchase an oracle consultation if you want to more in-depth information about mysteries or voodoo mysteries or mysteries about your heritage or you as a person. That's what oracle consultations are for. If you're looking for initiations into African spirituality, or just kind of want to know what messages the ancestors and the Most High have for you at this time. So, thank you, everyone. And I will be getting on the Black Panther series pretty soon in honor of Chadwick. I'm going to start with which character SU represents so we can open the gates to me doing that series. And then I will just be doing those videos until I'm done with the primary Orisha. All right. Peace and love.